How much control do you really have over your life? I mean, seriously. Well, today we're diving into James Allen's absolute classic, As a Man Thinketh, to check out a principle so powerful, it basically says you are the one and only architect of your own reality. Let's get into it. Right here, this one sentence is the bedrock of the entire book. And it's not just some nice, fluffy quote. Allen is saying this is a fundamental law of our being. It's as real and as absolute as gravity. The idea is simple. Your inner world of thought, that's the cause. And your outer world, well, that's just the effect. And yeah, he means this literally. This isn't a metaphor. The book argues that your character, everything that makes you you, is nothing more than the grand total of every single thought you've ever allowed to take root in your mind. Every action, every feeling, every single circumstance in your life, it all starts right here. So let's unpack this first big idea, this sort of secret power that's hiding inside every single one of our thoughts. Think of it like this, right? Every single thing you do, whether you plan it for weeks or it's just a spontaneous impulse, that's just the blossom of a thought. And our joys, our sufferings, those are the fruits that grow from it. This means we're constantly, whether we know it or not, planting these tiny hidden seeds that will absolutely, inevitably grow into the reality we experience every day. Now, here's what's so powerful about this. It puts all the power right back in our hands. We are the ones in the workshop of our mind. By choosing what we think about, we are either forging the weapons that will tear us down, or we're crafting the tools to build an amazing life full of joy and strength and peace. As Allen puts it, we are our own maker and our own unmaker. To make this idea really stick, Allen uses this incredible metaphor. He asks us to imagine that our mind is a garden. And this just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? It shows the two paths we can take. If we just neglect our mental garden, what happens? Useless weed seeds, things like fear, doubt, negative self-talk. They'll just fall in on their own and take over, and you'll end up with a harvest of chaos. But if we are intentional, if we cultivate it, and plant useful seeds of pure, helpful thoughts, we get a beautiful harvest. The choice is 100% up to us, the gardener. So the big question is, how do we actually do this? Well, Allen makes it pretty simple. First, you have to get in there and actively weed out all the wrong, useless, and impure thoughts. You got to pull them out. Then you consciously plant and water the flowers, the right, the useful, and the pure thoughts. And by doing this over and over, you eventually have this amazing realization. You are the master gardener of your own soul. You're the one directing your life. Okay, so we're tending this inner garden, but how does that actually change things out here in the real world? Well, as we're about to see, it has a direct, tangible effect. It literally crafts our reality. The whole process kicks off right here. A thought that you entertain over and over again, it doesn't just stay a thought. It starts to harden, to crystallize into a habit. It becomes an automatic way of acting and reacting. And it doesn't stop there. Those habits, the things you do day in and day out, they solidify even further. They become the actual circumstances of your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, the whole shebang. Which leads us to this really powerful and maybe sometimes difficult conclusion. If thought becomes habit and habit becomes circumstances, then you are not a victim of your circumstances. You are their author. And Allen gives some really blunt examples to drive this home. The person who always thinks about shirking work and being deceptive, they attract deeper wretchedness. The person dominated by gluttonous desires, they attract painful disease. The employer who constantly thinks in crooked ways, they attract bankruptcy and a lost reputation. The outer world is always, always a perfect reflection of the inner thought. And this brings us to a really critical moment of self-reflection. When we're struggling with something in our lives, are we just fighting the external effect? Allen is asking us to look deeper and ask ourselves, am I secretly nourishing the very cause of this struggle inside my own heart, with my own thoughts? It's a tough question. Okay, so we get the law, we understand how it works, but how do we actually use it to achieve our goals? This next part is all about putting thought into focused action. This right here is the absolute key. Random, drifting, all over the place thoughts, they lead to a life of weakness and failure. To achieve anything that matters, you have to link your thought to a clear, definite purpose. Without a destination, the ship of your mind is just going to drift on the ocean of life. You see, having a central purpose acts like a powerful magnet for your thoughts. It pulls them all together, gives them focus and real power. It becomes your supreme duty to work towards it. And in that process, you develop the self-control and concentration that are the hallmarks of a strong character. Even failure gets transformed. It's no longer the end of the road. It's just a stepping stone on the path.
And this is the magic moment. When you fearlessly align your thinking with that single purpose, your thought stops being this passive, floaty thing. It becomes an active, creative force that literally goes out and shapes your world and carves a path directly to your goal.
Finally, Alan suggests there is an ultimate state of mind we can achieve through all this work, a state of just profound power and deep, deep peace.
Serenity isn't just about being calm. Alan calls it the beautiful jewel of wisdom. It's not something you can just decide to have one day. It's something you earn. It's the direct result of long, patient, consistent effort in mastering your own thoughts. And don't ever mistake a calm mind for a weak one. It is an incredibly powerful mind. The more tranquil and centered you become, the greater your success, the greater your influence, and the greater your power to do good in the world. It makes sense, right? People are just naturally drawn to someone who is poised and centered.
So in the end, the highest form of achievement isn't all the external stuff. It's this incredible poise of character, this deep inner peace that stays unshaken no matter what storms are raging outside. This, Alan says, is the true fruitage of the soul.
So we end right back where we started, with the power of thought. But hopefully, now we don't see it as some kind of mystery, but as a set of tools right in our own hands. The blueprint is your mind. The materials are your thoughts. And you are the builder. So the only question left is, what will you build?